Once again, here we are. The moon is so visible right now. It's not quite 6 in the morning, but it's just amazing to see that moon just blazing in the sky. Look at it. Look at it. It's just incredible. Life is incredible. This is probably the last video I will film from this front porch. But don't worry, there is more to come. More great stories. More sage wisdom from an old timer who has done the dance of the jackanape. What is the dance of the jackanape? Well, you put on your festooned best. You dial in that mop of hair. Put on that guitar. And you go out there and you put on a brave face. And no matter how you're feeling, you go out there and you put on a show. It's the dance of the jackanape. Now, I want to talk today about a situation that happened recently and is ongoing. And these people or this person probably wouldn't like this if they watched this video, but I don't think they watch this channel. So you get very few chances in life at a second chance, at a redo. We all make mistakes. We all throw in the towel too early sometimes. We all, just flake. I never knew what flaking was until I moved to California. And then I discovered, oh, you mean you can just not show up and you can not do what you're supposed to do and it's okay? There's no repercussions? Only in California would I have learned that. Because where I come from, you do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. And if you can't do it, then you notify them ahead of time. And flaking is not an option, at least not for anybody that's serious about life, serious about music. So you get very few second chances in life. And my old drummer out in LA, Roger Carter, the first drummer I played with in a Sunset Strip band, he was the drummer of the band Shock and the Night and Day Horns. Now, he is a great drummer and lots of experience in the business. And he runs a very popular studio. I believe it's in the Valley. I've never actually been to the studio, but I mean, he's had everybody come through there. Slash is recorded there. John 5 is recorded there. Rick Springfield has recorded there. He's got somebody in there every week. And the guy knows what he's doing. He knows how to get killer tones. He's serious. And Roger reached out to me. And this was, probably early this year. And And it was after I had posted, there's a video that I posted in my channel, and it's Shock live at Goodies. And it was my dad who found a bunch of old VHS tapes. And it was a tape I had probably gotten, made myself back in the day, and probably mailed back to him in Virginia so that he could see what I was doing. And my dad, being a little bit of the pack rat that he is, he had all of it. He's got old flyers, he had old tapes, he had old VHS tapes, some of which I haven't even been able to get to because I don't have a VCR. And it costs money to do all this stuff. But in the meanwhile, I posted that clip. It's a full show of Shock at Goodies. And it's fun to look back at a moment in time that is long, long gone. None of us are young anymore. But, I'm still able to play pretty much everything I could play back then. And Roger certainly is, he's just a great drummer, man. He can play whatever he wants to play. So Roger saw the tape and said, hey, man, what if me and you produced the old band? What if, we flew some tracks out, or maybe, if you get some time, maybe you could come out and, let's see if we can record some of these songs with the original guys, and, the original two horn players that are left. Let's get them on this. And I said, yeah, man, because I had another guy that was in another incarnation of one of my LA bands reach out and want to do something similar. And I thought about it, man. The first guy that hit me up about this, I woke up in the middle of the night, and all of those memories came flooding back in my brain. How that band had kind of started, and the things that happened, and how it ended. And it kind of ended in a flaky way. It kind of ended back then. That was the final incarnation of a band called Boy Elroy. And it ended in a flaky way. We were about to go into the studio to record some of our songs. And all of a sudden the singer just pulled out. Nope, I'm going to go sing in my brother's band. And, I had been writing the material back then, and he was a young kid. I was, about 26 or so. And he was younger. He was probably 21 or 19 or 20. And, I had the experience and had written 100 bad songs already. So now I was starting to write good songs. And he was green, and he decided to, he wanted to leave the band because we passed on his songs. And he left us high and dry right before we were about to record. And that forced my hand. The producer still wanted to, we were paying him to produce. And we had already given him the money. So he said, well, and I had sung. So I became the singer. When someone flakes on a job, you have to take over. And everybody else has to work harder. And that's why it's not cool to flake. But, then we became a three-piece. Long story short. So in this other circumstance with the original band, Roger reached out. I said, I helped him find some of the guys. I had some of them on my Facebook. I got their contact info. Roger is out in California. So some of the guys are still out there. In fact, all of the guys are still out there except for me. I'm the only one that left. And so me and Roger picked the songs. And we both listened to what we had on the tape, and he kind of suggested some that I wasn't sure about, and I suggested, some of the more obvious choices. And we began working on this. I relearned my parts. I took the time to do it. It takes time to do these things. I didn't remember these songs. I hadn't played them in, 40 years, 35 years. So I did the work. I charted out the songs. I tracked rough scratch guitar tracks. And then Roger tracked the drum tracks. I even tracked some scratch bass on some of the stuff. And scratch vocals. Because, just that's what you do, right? So then Roger tracks drums, and man, it's starting to really sound good. I mean, it's really starting to sound awesome. And you're like, man, this is a damn shame we didn't get to do this when we were young. Studio costs were so much money in LA back then, and yeah, we could have gone into some little crap hole and recorded the songs, but we had enough material and enough talent that if we had had the budget, I think we could have made a decent recording, a good recording, and who knows what could have come from that, because maybe someone would have just picked it up and released it. But anyway, so it's really starting to sound good. And I said, well, Roger, the next step is bass. And I had reached out to Greg, and I had seen Greg, our bass player. I had seen him maybe 10 or 12 years ago when I was on the road in LA, and I got to return to the Sunset Strip and play the old House of Blues. And man, was that a full circle moment. And I lit it up that night. I lit it up. I had 2 JCM 800s. They made me put the 412s and turn them back towards the back wall, but man, I let it rip. Grover Jackson was there that night. He made me a couple guitars, and man, that was a full circle moment because I played Jackson guitars back in the day. But getting back to that recording and getting a chance to right some wrongs from the past. Greg did his best. He hadn't played bass in, maybe 20 years. He said, man, I mostly play guitar these days, and probably by playing guitar, I remember he used to always have a little classical guitar by his bed. And he'd pick it up and strum some chords, and ask me, hey, what was that chord you played here? Or show me some ideas for a bass line for, the song we're working on, or whatever. We would always work on ideas that way. And so he's like, man, I don't know. And, we had to lower the keys of the songs because our singer had said, hey, my voice is lower now. And I said, okay, all right. So some of the stuff I dropped tunes, some of it I played in different keys. So Greg came in and he did his best, and we got bass tracks. So now we've got guitar, bass, and drums. It wasn't easy, getting Greg in there, and I know it was hard for him. I know, like, when you haven't played bass in a long time, man, that's a tough instrument. That's a tough instrument to play. So now we're faced with, hey, what about the horn players? And so I had Roger reach out to them, and I don't think he got much of a response from them. but I do think they said, "Oh yeah, we play all the time. We go down to the local blues jams, and yeah, man, we're good, we're good." But when it came time to actually do the tracking, he wasn't able to nail anything down. And look, man, I hear people all the time, "Oh yeah, man, yeah, I got it, bro, I got it." And then they show up at the gig and they don't got it. They don't got it, and they can't play it. And I've got a really good story about that coming up. But sticking to this story. So they weren't responding to Roger when it came time to step up. I think he may even have sent him the tracks and said, "Here's the tracks. Like, we need to get you guys in here." And now when it came to push comes to shove, he couldn't get him, couldn't get a hold of him. So I decided to text one of the guys. He gave me the number that he had gotten from him. And text him. I said, "Party at the Shock House. See you in a couple hours." And he replied back, "Who's this? Who's this?" I said, "It's Bad Brad. Yeah, man. Really looking forward to getting you on these tracks. Like, this is a very noble thing that Roger is doing by taking his time, his studio, where he charges, a pretty good penny to do stuff. He's even charged me in the past, to track on some tunes, and man, it was worth every penny. The drum tracks sounded incredible. But I said, "Man, Roger's, really doing a noble thing here by getting us all together and letting us put a cap on this, record these songs, right some of the wrongs, show what we did back in the day. The handful of fans that are left would love to hear this. And, it's a good thing getting everybody together. All of us are still alive except for one guy. And that one guy quit. And when that one guy quit, he thought he was going on to greater things. But one day, shortly after that, he quit. Maybe a year, maybe 2 years later. He had a seizure in his apartment, and I believe he fell or struck his head or something, and he was gone. He was gone. He went on to greener pastures in the dream of, I'm going to find a better band, or I'm going to find a different, project that I like better. And now, and then, way back then, back in the early 90s, he's gone. Gone. Young kid, taken way too young. So, all of a sudden, after, texting this guy, all of a sudden my phone rings. And, my time is not my own here. I was sitting with the wife and my child, and it was, it was afternoon there, but it was evening time here, which means family time, dinner time. But I see the phone ring. I know who it is. And I know, hey, honey, I got to take this call. I got to take this call. So I answer the phone, and he starts in. "Oh, hey, man. We want to play on this track, but Brian's gone." And I said, "Yeah, I know Brian's gone. Well, he was kind of the, the brains of this, and you know, and I said, look, man, I know he's gone, and I know what Brian did. I know. But, you guys continued on with us after Brian left. And, we worked out parts. Yeah, but, I got players out here, if we need, additional players, but I'm going to need the horn parts written out. Oh, and then we can just come in and, I'll bring some trumpet players, and we'll just read them down and we'll just play them. He goes, I'm real busy here. I've got an old house, and my wife is, when you gonna fix this and when you gonna fix that? I said, hey man, I got a 3-year-old. I know all about responsibility, but I took the time to learn the songs, and I did it. I squeezed it in between all that was going on. But I understand, man, you've got responsibilities. We all do. Oh yeah, well, look, if you guys can, write it out, I said, look, man, I got guys here that are monster players that played with Prince and played with, Eric Church and all this other stuff. I said, the point is to get the guys that played in the band on the track. We could always add supplemental players, but the idea is to get you guys on this and for you guys to play your parts. And I guess I could get somebody to write out the parts, but at that point I was pretty disgusted, because this person had told Roger, we play all the time. We keep our chops up. Yeah, we're down at the local blues jam, and But when it came time to actually show up, remember, it's all about showing up. And when it came time to just show up and just do the work, learn the parts. Look, this is not Giant Steps. This is not Skunk Funk by the Brecker Brothers. These are basic rock and roll, hard rock songs with very basic, James Brown style horn parts that any player that I know in this town, any competent player, could listen to once or twice and go, oh yeah, okay, I got it. Oh, and you want me to do this on the chorus? Yeah, do that on the chorus. Or what about if I try this? Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, well, I like that even better. Any competent player would do that. So I was pretty disgusted when basically I got off the phone and I realized, this guy was just moving the cone down the road in hopes that I would just go, man, or he knows I don't write music. I don't write out horn parts. I really haven't read any notes, any single notes, since I left California, since I left school. Nashville is a number system, and I can read a chord chart like a real SOB. But single notes, I just don't have a lot of experience doing it. I can figure it out. If I got time and someone sends me a single note written out part, I can do it. And I've done it here at the house, having to track stuff on air gigs, but it's not what I do every day. So I think he knew he was setting a bar that I wouldn't match. Now I could hire somebody to do this, and I talked to Roger and I told him what was said, and I was like, look, we could get somebody to write out these parts, But, that adds to the cost of everything. And we're trying to do this as budget friendly as possible because there's no money in this. There's only money. There's no money. There's redemption. Righting the wrongs of the past. So I was thoroughly disgusted, and even more disgusted when I realized how easy these horn parts are. It's not rocket science. And yeah, we moved the keys down. So yeah, there'd be a little bit of transcribing, a little bit of work, maybe a little practice. I had to practice some of the parts a few times before I could play them again. But instead of just doing the work and showing up, they just had to push the bar further down the road. And now when Roger reaches out and says, "Hey man, are you guys, we'd really like to have you on this. Can you guys do this?" The flake, the ghost arises from the mist like a golden talus. Oh, but if we just had the arrangements written out. Oh, I can bring in these guys and it'll be amazing. These guys play in the symphony. The point was not to bring in supplemental guys with you and bring in symphony players to a heavy metal band. The point was to get your old ass out of the couch, off the bench. The bench that you placed yourself on in life. I get it. You had to move on. We all had to grow up at some point. And if it wasn't going to pay off, you had to step down. But the point was now, in your twilight, in your back nine, to do something, to take another stab at it, to have a record that you existed. Because without that old VHS tape and some old crusty flyers I have stuffed in a storage bin that's bound for warmer weather, without those shreds of the past, we ceased to exist. And we had no recordings of anything we ever did. All that hard work, all those hours sweating in that rehearsal space, all the lugging of gear, all the driving down to clubs, playing for, a few hundred people. All of that was for naught. And now that we've given you a second chance at redemption, at righting the wrongs, offering you a chance, you decided to push the bar down the road. Oh, but if I had this. Oh, but if you do this, I'll do it. Oh, if you inconvenience yourself more, then we'll just come in and do the bare minimum. Because let's be realistic. They'll phone it in, and chances are they won't have spent much time working on it. And Roger will have to do more work, more editing, more tuning. Instead of getting together one afternoon and going, you know what, let's see if we can just work up one song. Let's work on one song and let's go down there. Because man, one song is all it takes. And then you have redemption. So, as long as you're still breathing, you still have a chance And if you're listening out there, horn players from the past, one afternoon, spending some time with your old friend, working on some of the old songs, and then a couple hours in the studio. That's all it would take. Simple songs. I'll even throw a song title out there for you. Crazy Lady. Simple horn parts. Your two horns, you put your parts down, we'll get a trumpet on top. And if we want to do right by Brian, we'll throw a trombone in there. And then Brian's death and our wrongs and the wrongs that were done to us will be no longer, will exist. We'll be back in 2024 doing what we did 35, 38 years ago. It's not easy to get off your ass. It's not easy to show up every time and do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. But if you want to do anything in life, that's exactly what you're going to have to do. Thanks for watching. This will probably be the last video from this porch. And it'll come out probably after I'm in Florida. But we've so enjoyed this time together, I figured we'd go for one last ride. Thanks for watching.